the weekend, everyone. It's Friday evening's edition of Weather for Weather Geeks. We're going to take a deep dive into the weekend forecast and talk about some changes in the longer range trends in some of the modeling today as compared to the last couple of days. We'll start out this evening with a look at the calendar view for July. 3 of 4 Fridays here in the month of July have been cooler than average, including today. Most places got into the upper 70s to around 80, and we're still at that climatological peak here for another handful of days. 83 is our 30-year average high temperature at this time of the year. It goes down by a degree, I think, on the 28th or 29th, so middle of next week. Now, for the month as a whole, we're running 0.8 degrees cooler than the average when you factor in the highs and the lows, but for the summer season, we are still running a good amount warmer than average. But July has been cooler than average, it's been wetter than average, and it's no surprise that it's been cloudier than average with the frequency of the showers and storms that we've had. About twice the number of cloudy days or mostly cloudy days as we typically see in July, which tends to be our sunniest month overall. And this fits a trend for 2021 so far, with the exception of March. It has been a cloudier than average stretch here during the first 7 months of 2021. Once again today, with the exception of the northern Rockies and especially into the northern plains, most of the country is running at or a little bit cooler than the average. We had a cluster of showers and storms earlier on today that moved through northwest Ohio, survived down to about Marion and Columbus, and then kind of fizzled. We've had kind of a mix of sun and clouds for a lot of the day. Overall, it is a very, very pleasant evening here locally and in most of the Ohio Valley as well. A couple of showers dotting the radar down across the deep south, as you typically see at this time of the year. Also, at this time of the year, and this surprises some people, it's pretty common to see a lot of shower and thunderstorm activity in the southwest because it's monsoon season now in late July, and so places like Phoenix and Tucson typically see a lot of their wet weather that they get during a calendar year at this time of the year. They see a little more in the winter, but midsummer is when they typically see the most frequent thunderstorm activity in some of those desert locations in the southwest and over towards Albuquerque as well. All right, back here at home, we have a clear enough sky that you can check out the full moon tonight. The buck moon is July's full moon, sometimes referred to as the thunder moon, thanks to the frequency of thunderstorms at this time of the year. But yeah, the buck moon is full out there tonight under a partly cloudy sky in most of eastern Ohio and western PA. All right, as we head into the day tomorrow, a couple of gusty storms are pretty likely in the yellow area up towards Detroit and Saginaw, Grand Rapids, back towards Chicago as well. This far to the south, I'm expecting largely dry weather for the daylight hours, but later on tomorrow night, we are in that low end, kind of 1 out of 1 to 5, or on a 1 to 5 scale, risk of severe weather, because tomorrow night, a couple of storms might try to survive the trip into northern Ohio. I'm not very impressed with the severe weather and thunderstorm chances overall around here at the start of the weekend. So a warm front comes through tomorrow morning. There might be a stray shower at the start of the day. Most of us won't see that. In fact, I'm expecting more in the way of sunshine for the afternoon. Showers are going to try to stay to our north all day. So yeah, Erie, Buffalo, maybe Cleveland. Could see another shower or two in the afternoon, but I think this far to the south we are largely dry. Now, it's not going to be a bright and sunny Saturday. It might stay mostly cloudy until early afternoon, but a little bit brighter before the afternoon is through. All right, Sunday's forecast is a tricky one because it's kind of a race between the front and the drier air that's going to try to be punching in. So the day may start with a shower. As we get into the afternoon, this front is going to slowly be working through. Now, if it moves through fast enough and we get the frontal passage early enough in the day, the chance of showers and storms bubbling up in our region will be lower in the afternoon. An hour or two difference might make a big difference. So if, in other words, if the front's an hour or two slower, I think thunderstorms could be pretty likely around here as we go through the mid to late afternoon. So we're going to have to be weather aware second half of the day Sunday. If this front moves through at peak heating with some drier air punching through in the mid levels, plenty of moisture and instability in the low levels, yeah, could be a few thunderstorms around. I suspect most of our southern viewing area would be more favored than the northern viewing area because you have a better chance of seeing that front sliding through in places such as Kinsman and Greenville and maybe Newton Falls. You have a better chance of seeing that frontal passage earlier in the day in those locations. Monday could start out with fog, otherwise high pressure is going to give us a pretty nice day. So SPC, Storm Prediction Center, does have eastern Ohio and western PA as well as the panhandle of West Virginia in that low-end risk for severe weather Sunday. That would be mostly Sunday afternoon. Now, I mentioned that drier air punching in at the mid-levels. In the low levels, down here near the ground, the atmosphere is going to be pretty unstable until we get into the evening. So mid to late afternoon, plenty of instability. And with the drier air punching in the mid-levels, that's going to be a recipe for any thunderstorm that gets going to have some downburst potential, tapping into that drier air aloft, that then evaporative cooling that can occur when you get downdrafts can result in some strong winds. That's something we'll be watching out for on Sunday. Overall, though, a seasonable weekend, 83 Saturday, 85 degrees Sunday. Once we lose the thunderstorm activity by Sunday evening, early evening, we'll be high and dry into early next week. Last evening on Weather for Weather Geeks, I showed you the possibility of the western kind of heat dome migrating east next week. It's interesting to watch the model changes over the last 24 hours. Here's the European model. We're going to roll this out through the middle of next week, that heat dome across the Plain States, the Rockies. But while last evening the Euro wanted to bring this far enough east by the end of next week to introduce the possibility of some pretty toasty temperatures around here, watch what happens on today's run. It stays out west, and we're under the influence of more troughing out across the eastern U.S., and that would keep all the heat out here. So that's today's European. It has the support of several other models today, including, here's the GFS. Same idea. Middle of the week, yeah, it gets pretty hot in the middle of the country, but by the end of the week, we don't see much eastward progress with that heat dome, and trough of low pressure still wants to be kind of centered over Hudson Bay and eastern Canada, and if that's the configuration, yeah, it can be seasonably warm around here, but that's not the kind of configuration that's going to give us 90-degree temperatures as we wrap up July and head into August. We'll see in the coming days if this model flip-flop ends up being the model's trending towards the right idea, or if it indeed is a true flip-flop, and we're going to flop back to the warmer ideas in the longer range. I suspect these cooler ideas will end up being the right idea. In this kind of a summer, it wants to be hot where it wants to be hot, and you get a feedback loop sometimes where the hotter it is, the drier it is, and then the drier it is, the hotter it is. So in other words, the ridge wants to live over those dry areas in the western U.S. So it's a feedback loop that I suspect is going to continue for much of the rest of the summer. In the meantime, thanks for watching tonight. Have a great Friday night, a great weekend. I'll see you back here for Weather Geeks on Monday.